Hello and welcome to the latest installment of History's Greatest and Craziest Persuaders with David Lowenthal. I am David Lowenthal, and today we are going to be talking about juicy copywriting secrets that every copywriter can learn from comedians. And I first got this idea when I was watching Jerry Seinfeld's show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And when I was watching it, I was thinking, no, there actually are a lot of great copywriting secrets that people can learn from comedians. Now, if you've never seen the show, it's basically just Jerry, driving around in classic cars with his famous comedian friends, getting coffee, talking about comedy, talking about life, and all sorts of things. And a lot of things that they talk about can relate to copywriting, about how to set up a joke, about how to read the audience, about how to do a set, and how to get on stage in the first place. A lot of these things are all about kind of classic persuasion principles that are deployed in unique ways. And if you think about it, comedy really is the most direct response art form there is. If you shoot a movie, you don't have to wait for the audience's reaction while you're shooting it. If you paint a picture, you're not going off the audience when you're doing it. But when you're telling a joke live in front of people, or any kind of live action art form, that is a form of direct response. Whereas you're feeding off the audience, and your set is kind of changing as it goes with the audience, because you've got a feel for them. So that's why listening to comedians can actually help copywriters a lot in their craft. And so while I was watching it, and I thought of this idea, I just jotted down six ideas that I think, 6 reasons why I think comedians best display the best principles of copywriting that I think you should take notice of. So the first one is collect and tell stories. Now, all comedians tell stories. It's how they keep you engaged, because comedians, like all great storytellers, understand that people follow stories. They don't follow dry facts and figures. It's why we watch great movies and great TV shows and read great novels and don't read the Encyclopedia Britannica or the dictionary or your math teacher, because typically they are not good at telling stories. So collect and tell stories. The next one is number 2, creative repetition. This is all about putting new spins on old jokes. Jokes about New Jersey never get old, or the idea of New Jersey being funny never gets old. Now, the joke may get old, just like, if you're writing copy in like a sales letter in an industry might get old, it might fatigue and it won't work anymore, and so you need to change it. The same thing, applies to jokes, where the idea behind the joke doesn't get old. So if you're writing a joke about New Jersey will probably always be funny as long as New Jersey exists. The jokes specifically themselves, those will get old, and you just write new jokes, but you're not changing what is necessarily funny. You're just changing how you're expressing that joke. So it's creative repetition, putting new spins on old ideas. The next is building anticipation through emotion. And I think the best comedian who does this is Dave Chappelle. In a lot of his more recent stand-up comedy, he sets up something in the beginning that he's going to reveal by the end. So he promises something in his comedy, that you're going to want to stick around for. There's 2 examples of his recent stand-up that come to mind. One is, he came up with this line, "So I kicked her in the, in the P word. I kicked her there," and like he just said that line, and he promised that he is going to use that's going to be the punchline of his last joke. And so whatever you think of the rest of the comedy act, you're going to get a payoff just by finding out what that is. And the whole act is funny. I recommend it. So that's the first one. The second one is, I think, the 4 times he met O.J. Simpson. And those are just kind of sprinkled throughout. He'll have a joke, talked about, then O.J. Simpson will enter it, and, how he met O.J. Simpson that time, and it'll be funny. And then he'll go on with the rest of the act, and then he'll talk about another time that he brought up O.J. Simpson. And so he's just bringing that in through his entire comedy act. It's really brilliant, and it provides payoffs. So it's making that initial promise, at the beginning, and then building anticipation towards fulfilling it. And the same thing you do in your copy, you make a big promise to your prospect that they're going to get something by just reading their copy. Just like Dave Chappelle basically is saying to his audience there, you are going to get something just by listening through the rest of this act, just by watching my act. You are going to get something. The same thing with a great sales letter, a great sales email, a great advertisement, whatever. Give them something that they can latch on to without even having to buy it. That the sales letter, the piece of the sales message itself is valuable. So build anticipation through emotion. Next is a dramatic demonstration of your unique selling proposition. This is an idea I got from Dan Kennedy, but I think comedians show it really well. They don't show, they tell. And there's a scene in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee where Jerry's with Bill Maher, the comedian Bill Maher, and they're in a coffee shop and they're talking about, how Jerry is just a dick talking to people with, waiters and things like that. And then he's a dick kind of talking with the waiter in a certain way. So he demonstrates it right there. It's much funnier when they do it. But it's just basically showing rather than telling. Don't say how great your product is or how great your nonprofit or how great your cause is. Show it through some kind of dramatic demonstration, like a great story or a great testimonial, or a great fact or something that you can show people that they can really hold on to. So that's number 4. Number 5 is strike a chord through strategic controversy. People are naturally gravitated towards controversy and polarization. They don't want mealy-mouthed people. They want to know where you stand. Like, I think Dave Chappelle is the best comedian ever. I think Jeff Foxworthy is not funny at all. There. Like, that is, like, if you're a fan of comedy, like, there are people who are Jeff Foxworthy fans. There are people who are Dave Chappelle fans. I just sided with Dave Chappelle, just to use an example. So, take a position, take a stand. You'll repel people who won't buy from you anyway, and you'll bring people closer to you who will buy from you, and you'll make them just that much more loyal to you, and it's more interesting. People aren't attracted to messages that says how great the weather is. People are attracted to messages that says this is right, this is wrong, this is the best way, this is the worst way, these type of people are great, these type of people are terrible. These kinds of things where it strikes a chord. So anytime you can strike that kind of controversy, do it. But do it strategically. Don't just be controversial just to be controversial. People see through that like they see through Casper the Friendly Ghost. That is stupid. So be strategic about it. And then finally, position yourself in your ideal market. Just like not every comedian is for every type of person. Not every not everybody is meant to have your product. Not everybody is meant to donate to your cause. This is, everybody knows the idea of targeting, but I thought this was an interesting way, an interesting spin to put on the idea. Comedians, they know who their fans are. They know what they like and what they don't like. They have a feel for their audience. You should have a feel for your audience, knowing what they like, knowing what they don't like, knowing what their daily struggles are, and just focusing on that and blocking out all the other noise. Because if somebody doesn't buy from you, if somebody's not your type of person, ignore them. They don't matter. Their opinions really don't matter. All that matters, All that matters in your market is your market, and that you're serving them, wisely and legally and all that jazz. So focus on your market and cut out all the noise. So thank you for watching this latest episode of 32 Jackpot Marketing Secrets with history's greatest and craziest persuaders. If you like what you see, you can always sign up for my newsletter, davidlowenthal.substack.com. It's called the David Lowenthal Report. I'll have the link in the description. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.